Third phase of moon.
Third phase of moon, Blake Cousins. We're live and we are streaming it right now, right for you on Third phase of moon. Welcome everybody from around the world. It's my pleasure to do this, and it's quite exciting. We're doing this on the seat of our pants. We're going to be sharing with you videos and images coming in from the sun, coming in from the moon, and maybe a possible UFO landing. Let me just show you some of the stuff that we're talking about that we're going to be covering. We got a UFO landing, and then we got this Jupiter anomaly. Something may have just passed by Jupiter, but I wanted to get to this first. And we also have, and it's my pleasure to bring back Dr. J. Andy Elias. He's going to be chiming in on some of the content that we're about to share with you. If you've just joined us right here at Third Phase of Moon, tell your friends we're streaming live right now. Dr. J, you with us?
Absolutely, Blake, I am.
Okay, great. Are you looking at the imagery coming in from Soho? Basically, it was captured within the past 48 hours of the sun of what looks to be this cylindrical shaped object zooming by. I want to get your thoughts on it.
You know, I got to tell you something interesting. I think that could be definitely either, if it's one of our space drones that's secret, or it could be extraterrestrial. And I'll tell you why I think so. My brother recently got hired as a private military contractor and said that good old Uncle Sam has been paying private military contractors to track extraterrestrial craft in our solar system. And this looks very anomalous because God or Creator does not build in straight lines like that.
You would think that if this was some kind of craft, obviously, it's not one of ours, because the sun would absolutely burn this thing up. It'd disintegrate it. Something like this seems like it's withstanding the heat of the sun, maybe harnessing energy, as some people speculate.
I definitely agree with that too, because on here on Third Phase of Moon for 6.5 years since I've been working with you guys, we've come across a lot of imagery from NASA and other, usually NASA, that shows us the sun with craft that seem to go there and get some plasma or take some energy and then zip away. So if their technology can hold that heat or withstand that heat, it's not beyond me that they could possibly be doing that. And that's why I don't think this is something natural, because it would have burned up.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout out to some of the people joining us on the top chat right now. And some people saying it's kind of buffering and there's some issues with the video feed. I'm not exactly sure. We're trying to tighten this setup. But some people are saying, don't believe the hype. That's the name of the channel. He's saying this is pretty crazy stuff. Thanks for joining us right here. We've got a lot of people watching us live, and I'm sure the audience is going to grow a little bit as we're broadcasting. So we're going to keep talking about this. We got more things coming up. You saw the title, Huge Craft Spotted Next to Jupiter. We're going to get to that in just a few moments, but I want to still talk about this image coming in from Soho within the past 48 hours. This thing seems to be emitting some kind of maybe exhaust behind it, and I don't know, it seems very strange indeed where this light is beaming from off the back of it. Is this some kind of maybe shutter issue possibly with the Soho imagery creating some kind of illusion? What's your thoughts?
The light is definitely interesting because it is coming from only one side, but that begs the question, what could be causing it to come from only there? Clearly it's not the sun, because the sun would obviously have a different sort of reaction as it went around it. It wouldn't just be like that, going directly into the body behind it. And then also, as you mentioned, the contrails to the right of it are inconsistent with the way the light's going. So I don't even know if they're contrails, because then that would imply that they're using technology similar to our rockets, which go back hundreds, if not a little over 1,000 years, to China.
Absolutely. I was going to mention China, but yeah, you see a streak of light. Maybe you see the streak of light to the right. It almost seems like it's emitting some kind of beam of light. And then there is this massive like trail behind it. Maybe it's in some kind of evasive maneuver or an attack mode. Some people speculate there's a war going on up close to the sun, or possible inter uh, alien, you know, what would you say, kind of military combat.
Well, remember back in the 80s, we had Ronald Reagan as his Star Wars Defense Systems, SDI. A lot of people were speculating that it wasn't for the Soviets, it was for things like this. Back in right after World War II, General Douglas MacArthur said the very next World War will not be a world war, it'll be an interplanetary war. I would think if different civilizations are coming here and seeing where we are right now, that want to have control or relations with us and may not get along with others, I wouldn't be surprised if they're fighting for who's going to have a base here, or what this would be an even worse thought. What if they're fighting us and we don't even know about it yet? What if this is the whole reason behind the Space Force?
Yeah, absolutely. A secret space program that's finally being revealed to the public. We're about to reach 500 live viewers, and I'm sure it's going to build up. We see that once we make this thing public on YouTube, these live events, it's not just 500. There's probably about 5,000 people watching us at this moment, because within an hour, you could tell that there is a lot of people watching when we make this public. But right now, we're doing it live for our Third Phase Moon friends from around the world. Okay, Dr. J, I'm so glad that you're here with us. I want to get to this next clip. Basically, this is coming in, and it's another image from NASA. Like, we're watching all these NASA shots, but I want to share you this image. And this is coming in from Jupiter. This is what people have been wanting to watch here for a little bit. And we're looking at this. It's captured from a satellite recently, and it shows, in its weird way, some of this green anomaly. Are you making this out? We're going to get a closer look at this, and I want to get people's opinions in the comments below what this is.
Yes, I'm actually blown away about that right now. I'm looking at it as you're zooming into it, as we're sort of flying into it, and that is definitely weird looking. I mean, is it a single shape? Is it something that's morphing? Is it gas? It doesn't make sense, but look at the sheer size of Jupiter. That little object, whatever it is, that has to be so massive, even though it looks so small. If you scale how huge Jupiter is in comparison to anything else you're looking out there, such as Mars or the Moon or Venus, that would literally have to be tens of miles, if not hundreds of miles from width, not to length at least, and not to mention the width. But that is strange looking for sure. That actually reminds me a little bit of Fausto Perez and all these other people who used to summon craft, except this is not quite that shape either.
This is basically almost behind Jupiter. You can see that it's making its way up just above the atmosphere of Jupiter. It says that the green color probably is the effect of ionizing radiation, and it said that Jupiter puts out a massive amount of ionized radiation, so any probe or UFO in its vicinity is going to be subject to that radiation. If it's a craft and it's that close to Jupiter putting out these kind of radiation emissions, it seems like these aliens actually figured out how to deflect radiation. What's your thoughts on that? Because this thing does look massive.
Well, if you recall what Bob Lazar said, all the crap that he saw at S4, and mind you, he only worked on the sports model, the one that he called the sports model for how sleek it was. And he also said that what powered their craft, it removed that little gravity generator. And he basically said that element 115, when it's bombarded, basically the energy coming out of it is what's called total annihilation in physics. There's only a few elements along the charts that give you that sort of energy. So by default, if that's a nuclear reaction right there, therefore those craft are nuclear powered. So if they can get to that level of technology and have that ability to control nuclear bombardment inside their own craft to create these gravitational waves, it would not surprise me at all that they're able to withstand the ionized radiation or anything for that matter, especially
Sure.
since they're always traveling, because by default, if they're able to affect gravitational change, they are affecting a space-time continuum and constantly open Einstein-Rosen bridges, aka wormholes, which also means they're interdimensional and even time travelers.
You know, obviously, if they visit us, which we all believe that they've mastered this, but some people will try and debunk it, and some of the people are speculating that this could be some kind of imaging sensor anomaly caused by the high energy particle hitting the sensor, since the sunlight reflects in a green anomaly, basically stating that this is some kind of pixelation due to a beam of light reflecting off the lens of the satellite itself, creating this strange green anomaly. I'm not sure if that's the case. Well, we'll try and find out, but to me, I'm still on the fence. I think whatever this thing is, it's out there, and it's a great catch, and they're trying to debunk it with this sensor. I've never seen a photograph like this. There's nothing to compare it to.
Neither have I. You also notice that little bit of purple underneath that green that's between the surface, I guess you would say, of the atmosphere of Jupiter. That, too, is actually very interesting. And if it was some sort of trick by the lens or some light refractions or something, then why would it have two distinct colors like that? I mean, is the argument by scientists or by skeptics that, you know, in a certain area, because of that part of the atmosphere from the radiation coming from Jupiter, is causing it to be that color and green above it? But then again, that begs the question of the shape. And as you mentioned, Blake, what about the other side? If we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, what if that thing is a solid object and literally is just about to come over, as you first implied, which would literally, you know, be that much bigger if we're just seeing what would be the front of it?
I would say the thing would have to be the size of maybe 30 coliseums, maybe the size of maybe half the moon, the size of a half moon. You know, the thing's massive. I don't know. It's hard to. I'm sure mathematically we could figure out exactly how big this is. If anybody wants to guess or do some kind of mathematics on this, some geometry, and figure out with correlation to the size of Jupiter in this photograph how big this is, leave your thoughts below. We want to get your thoughts. How big is this craft? It's kind of crazy. It's an interesting photo. That's why we're sharing it right here on Third Phase Moon. I want to show you this. I know people have been talking about crash retrievals of UFOs, but there are also anomalies of landing, evidence of UFOs landing. And here's something that I want to share with you. Here's something that's just come in to us right here at Third Phase Moon. Take a look at this. I want to get your thoughts. What do you guys think? Here's some patterns recently captured, and they're claiming that there is a UFO. And this is some of the evidence, trace evidence. Take a look. What's your thoughts, first impressions here? I got some background information coming up.
That one is really interesting right there. And it also, if a craft is coming down because they are emanating some heat or because they are electrical in nature, I would expect it to melt some of the snow when it lands to it. But what if this one right here, the one that's looking more like a star, either if it is a craft or what if it's something that's similar to a crop circle, only sort of created in the snow? Again, where did it come from? Because obviously there's a lot of factors to consider, but assuming that the person didn't make it who sent it to you, and assuming that this is genuinely what they found and no one, other human or no wild animals wouldn't create something that's perfect, no craft that we earthlings use would fit something like this. A car wouldn't fit like it, a helicopter wouldn't look like this, and absolutely a plane touching down or anything like that would not look like this. Both of them, two distinct patterns, especially this one, the round one.
Absolutely, and somebody could fake this so easily. That's the reason why I'm kind of sharing it, but wanting to get people's opinions. The person that basically took the photographs basically stated he was in Argentina, and he's a young guy, and he was out there on his motorcycle, and he came across these things, and he started to take photographs, and he notified his family about this. So he basically didn't see anything that created this in his statements. So in my opinion, what do you think? Do you think it's maybe a young man trying to pull a fast one, or maybe he actually came across something that's not of this world? You just never know in some of these cases. I'd like to see if anybody got any trace evidence, if there's any kind of radiation that was left there. That'd be kind of interesting.
Do you remember that landing in the 70s that still talked about today? I believe it was in Delphi. I forget which state it was, where once it landed, it basically turned the soil white, and so it left that trace evidence that ended up being something they called it, like essentially it would be equivalent to it wouldn't mix with water no matter when they tested it. And this trace evidence still exists. It was actually J.L. and Hynek's person that he trained to basically take over from him. Ted Phillips, I believe, is the guy who investigated that case. And even to this day, they removed it from the land, and it exists just in little vials right now. But again, it turned that soil into just what looked like snow, and it was a hot day where it happened. So my question would be, if you can get the person who sent this to you to go over there and take some samples from within and without, and then send it to a laboratory, we'll get Jaime Maussan involved like we've done in the past.
That would be kind of cool, and that's a good idea. Actually, the young man's name is Rodrigo, and he's, again, from Argentina, and he states, as he witnessed and photographed this stuff, that there were no footprints leading to and from whatever these imprints were embedded into the snow there. So there is some kind of, you would think that if you built this in the snow, which would be miserable in this kind of weather, that you would see some kind of mistake, footprints for sure. It'd be kind of hard to cover up in this case. It does seem like possibly that this thing just pretty much made an imprint landing.
The circle one, definitely. The other one, since the snow is sort of ending to a corner of it, you could see right there. You could see how someone might have hopped from that soil inside and could have made it. Now, to say someone made it, obviously, again, it goes just pure speculation. This one, between the round one, if the person or the soil was close to jumping from the soil onto the actual snow, it'd probably be easier to make than the other one. But because there is a good distance of snow and there aren't finger or footprints, that also shows something too. But could someone have had footprints in the snow and try to make it look like they covered up? Sure, but anything's possible. That's the difficult part without getting samples.
Absolutely. People are chiming in from the flash chat, and we're about to hit 600 live views, and it's kind of cool when you're building up the audience. People are like going, wow, I finally made it to Third Phase of Moon, a live event, and wow, we pretty much wrapped the show, but we might continue a little bit. I still want to talk to Dr. J about certain things that are coming up in the future. I know he's been a busy man, but I wanted to invite you, Dr. J. We might be talking to we're going to get Corey Good on the show along with David Wilcox this week, and maybe you could join us and ask David and Corey some questions in regards to this secret space program. It might be a pretty wild show. We're pretty excited about it. It's about above majestic.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey Good is someone that I've wanted to talk to for a while, and Randy Kramer too. The secret space program has always been an interest of mine, especially since years ago. I'm not talking about like 10, 15 years ago. I'm talking about just literally 2-3 years ago. I was watching ABC World News, and they cut in to show the first space drone landing. And to me, I was like, wow, okay, so now they're putting this on mainstream television, and then here we are with the Space Force, which shows that's the tip of the iceberg. If they're telling us that, well, then you have to also wonder, what are they not telling us? And that's why we need people like Corey Good and other whistleblowers who can tell us what is going on, assuming that we can they could prove that it was them that was there, and these programs did in fact exist.
Yeah, it seems like some people back in the day were like, oh, no, no way. These guys, how could they be telling us this kind of stuff? But now it seems like some of the information that they've been talking about for all these years is now coming forward to the public in a slow way, but it seems like it's happening. I don't know what's it all about, but it does seem like they're kind of getting us prepped that they're about to make an announcement, I think, that NASA has found life out there, that life exists. They found evidence of it. Whether they're going to admit that it's intelligent, I highly doubt it. But I got a feeling they're going to come forward and admit that they've discovered life through scientific means.
I agree with you, and I think they're going to start with something very basic, saying, okay, we found some plant life or some bacteria here somewhere. But at the same time, just recently I heard of something really interesting, and I should probably go get this PDF from Joshua P. Warren's website. But Senator Harry Reid had written this document, and it involved a massive breakthrough at Area 51. I think probably specifically S4. And it was essentially the kind of breakthrough that Bob Lazar said they needed to have. And the very end is an addendum of different technologies that they were able to discover. And that included things such as the ability to create wormholes, the ability to create gravitational waves, the ability to have cloaking mechanisms, the ability to have, shields, force fields. And the craziest thing is item number 38 was redacted. Of course, we could only speculate what it was, but remember what Bob Lazar said, and even Einstein theorized, that if you can affect the gravitational wave on the space-time continuum, you by default will be a time travel machine. Now, that's hard to wrap around. It's a hard pill to swallow, and I've never understood the grandfather paradox, but apparently it is possible. Once you have that ability to create a wormhole, you are also creating time travel, and on top of that, you are also going to different dimensions. So I guess that would really explain it. So there is that breakthrough going on in Nevada, which just happened a few months ago, plus we're on the verge of any time them giving the announcement that they found something. I thought they would have told us about Mars by now if we would have found some bacteria or some sort of evidence, but it's just on the brink, Blake.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's about time. It's about time they give us the evidence. We want to thank Fredo Knows Best. He says he was abducted by reptilians when he was a kid. Well, thanks for the flash chat. Appreciate that. All the support we could get right here at Third Phase of Moon, it really helps. We've heard about these stories, abductions. That's another story. We're going to be broadcasting live, taking your calls from around the world real soon. We're going to put out the phone number. Stay tuned. Hit that notification button to make sure you get notified when we go live, like these events. And Dr. J, make sure you take a look at his YouTube channel, Dr. J Live. Check him out. He's always talking to the most amazing people, and it's Dr. J Radio Live. Thanks, Dr. J, for joining us, man.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, you guys, everybody, keep your eyes on the skies, and if you see anything amazing, you submit it to us right here at Third Phase Moon. We'll see you guys real soon.